Hands
His angle
from
there,
Nathan,
nice,
big
nice
left
kick.
Here comes Jordan
Jordy come back with those hands again.
Hey, yo, we're back. Take two. what, we got 15 minutes into the other one where I just go, wait a minute, this is not going good. I have to check the camera.
Yeah, I think we got more than 15 minutes in, but like,
that's all
you
right.
know.
We're practiced. We had a practice run.
Just comes naturally.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's like there's not that much on this week. There's only really one card to talk about.
Yeah, well, that's it. We might talk about a bit of the boxing.
And it was a short card.
Yeah, well, that's it. But like, yeah, just that same thing again. It's good to see everyone back in New South Wales and they're working through.
Yeah,
that's
good
it,
vibes this week.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's good to be back. So yeah, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, surely no more lockdown.
That's right. All right. So okay, let's get into this one card. So like as we were talking about before, like for a one card, it was a really short night in the office.
Yeah, which is very refreshing.
It is.
When you stay up to watch a one card because these motherfuckers can be very long.
Very long. That's it. Take away the MMA portion and you're good.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, let's just talk about these fights. So like first one off the bat, so we had Davit versus Enriko, and in the first round, and Davit, like, you know, like I said, like we said in the other one, like, you know, everyone was sleeping a little bit on him. I was definitely sleeping on him.
Yeah,
and
Davit gets slept on.
Strong performance.
Yeah, but like Davit's been in some good form. I think like I did not pick Davit to win this fight. I thought Enriko was going to take it, but a big part of my logic was that Enriko recently picked up that win over Chingiz Alazov.
Yes.
I think had that fight not happened, like I wasn't surprised by the outcome. To me, this was very much a 50-50 fight. I thought that Davit just got on the front foot and played his game. And that was kind of the story of this fight, was who could get their game going.
Yeah.
Enriko did start firing off those kicks, those left kicks to the rear leg.
Rear leg,
and inside leg. Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, just no feeling out process.
No.
It's just like, you know, like I said, who's going to establish themselves? Right?
Yeah, and it's one of those ones like, this is a fight that if you let that feeling out process go, it definitely favours Enriko a lot. Like if you let Enriko, you sit at a range where Enriko can get rid of some kicks, start to kind of damage Davit's base a bit, take the legs away, take his gas away with some body kicks and stuff like that, it starts to favour him very well coming into the late second and third rounds. But yeah, Davit did exactly what he needed to do strategically to get through this fight. Just force the fight into the pocket.
And land the bombs.
Yeah, because Enriko does have quite a habit of like, especially in this fight where he was the taller fighter, like that kind of like taller, leaner sort of build, he will kind of come up above his guard a lot. Like he can be drawn into a bit of a scrap, like a bit of a 50-50 type exchange. So what Davit had to do was draw him into that exchange, find his shot, and then, you know, really go for it if he could get him hurt, which he did early.
It's, yeah, and like, it's funny, like he's just so rattled from like just the first bit, like, you know, just snuck in that rear hand, and like I was saying before, like because like it's a free knockdown rule in one round, but like even if it went, he probably could have kept going on, but like it was the stoppage was fine. But like it wasn't like he was just totally out of it.
He got knocked down, counted clean 3 times, that's the rule. That's what ends a fight in one. But yeah, like he was never out. Like it wasn't even on like in that third knockdown.
Bastard.
Yeah, third knockdown he got face planted as well. But he still popped right back up and looked like if given the chance he would have continued to fight. But yeah, Davit just really that it comes back to as well. Davit playing his game, really had to swarm and floor Enriko, get those counts on the board, and then no real option.
Yep,
a good performance by Davit Kyria.
Yeah. So going on the next one, we had Samy Sansa, who I picked to take it all, versus Chingiz, which I think you picked.
I picked Chingiz, yeah.
Yes, that one. I fucking came off second best on that one. And like outstandingly so as well, like less than 45 seconds or so this whole match took.
Yeah. But it's funny, like we spoke last week about how I think Chingiz was potentially overlooked in this tournament in the sense that everyone who is a one championship fan remembers that crazy upset win for Samy against Sitthichai in the last tournament. And I think in that, like, he's gained some fanfare for, you know, being you know, for his performances in tournaments and just being so capable of upsets, but also I think just he's had a number of performances in one championship. The fans are well aware of him. Whereas Chingiz is quite new and has only had one performance in one championship that he didn't win against Enriko. So I think like this one, as far as sort of recent notoriety, Samy was probably the logical pick for a lot of people. It felt like the odds were in his favour. But if you know like their broader careers, I think Chingiz was a good pick. Chingiz is a good pick for the tournament.
Yeah.
Had, you know, I mean, I guess you're only as good as your last fight, and maybe the performance against Enriko Cow has skewed people's view on Chingiz. But yeah, this fight was, I wasn't super surprised by this result. By the speed of it, I was. Like, I think this was 39 seconds or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like we spoke last week when we were previewing about Enriko has Chingiz has like one of the craziest head kick games in kickboxing. And they're like, the reason it's so crazy is because it comes from either stance. Like he can move in between stances. He doesn't even really seem to have a preferred stance. Like, and he's naturally orthodox, but you wouldn't notice. And like his ability to shift stance on the move, like he's got very neutral feet, so that high kick can come from anywhere. Like he's very deceptive with his ability to catch you when you're not expecting it. We weren't sure if Chingiz was going to be able to kick Samy Sana in the head because I don't even know how tall Samy is.
He's the tallest guy.
Damn tall, yeah. But that was it. Like first significant strike of the whole fight was a head kick from Chingiz.
That's it. I think, like, yeah, as we said before, Sansa kind of just helped it, just enabled it as well.
Yeah.
Like he threw a hook, but like it was like that downward type of hook, and he put his head down in the line of the kick and just popped him back up.
Yeah, beautiful timing by Chingiz, picked his shot, and then like from there it's just like Chingiz just smelled blood in the water, just going for it. And like Samy Sana seemed to kind of try to wave the fight off himself. Like his hand was out.
Yeah,
like,
he's going no.
I don't know if that was conscious or just like he was super out of it. But as soon as like the guard went up for Samy Sana, like relentless body work from Chingiz. And the speed on those short body strikes was absolutely disgusting.
Just straight into his lane, he was.
But yeah, I think if you haven't seen Chingiz before that fight, maybe you would have put him into favourite status for you for this tournament. Yeah. Like I think like Chingiz came out of this opening round very hot property.
Yep.
So yeah,
it's like a lot of people, like, you know, when we did the poll from there, were like they were picking Sansa over that because, like, you know, like from just like he's still hyped from his last performance in the last tournament from there, and like you said, like with the Enriko performance, like being pretty a little bit lackluster for him usually, but even in the post-fight interview, he's just going, look, this time's different. Like, he goes, I'm actually motivated to train. Like before, I just go, yeah, I'll just go and fight, but like, yeah, it just goes, and you know, that's the type of performance I had. But now he goes, no, I got a little bit more fire underneath me and ready to go. $1 million
will do that.
It definitely would.
But it's like Chingiz got a resume, man. Like I think. Before that fight with Enriko, he had 3 losses to Giorgio Petrosyan, Sitthichai, and Gregorian, you know? So, like, dude's...
Who's who?
Yeah, dude's 4 elite guys and also, like, doesn't lose to chumps.
Yeah, exactly right.
But, yeah, like, has just been fighting a lot in Europe and is not as well known to, like, the one championship fan base.
Yeah.
Till now.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it just feels like it was a long time ago. Like it was such a hot property. There.
Yeah.
Like, and there's like I guess when K1 was a lot more like significant as well.
Yeah.
That one, but like, you know, yeah, you can't sleep on him at all.
He's also cut his teeth a lot, like in sort of like around Europe. I don't ever really remember. He went to Glory for one fight.
Yeah.
With Gregorian. And like I don't ever remember him consistently competing in like, you know, K1 or, you know, Glory or like in any of those of the shows. Bellator? He did one fight in Bellator against Petrosyan.
It's almost like, you know, it's like I'm just gonna have a little bit of this.
Yeah. He's never really been a regular on any major. And not like anyone watched Bellator kickboxing anyway.
It's true. I guess like in that facet, it was just hard, like because he wasn't in one promotion for a very long time, like in more of like the Western kind of side.
Yeah.
It's hard to build his brand that way.
Yeah. With kind of, and like the One Championship fan base, I think has been, it's an Asian based promotion. It's very much centered around sort of, even on the kickboxing side of things, like more Muay Thai based guys.
Yep.
So some guys like Chingiz is was super busy on like the Waco K1 scene. Like he's a world champion in that sort of circuit, which is kind of like a little bit more like, definitely if someone's got those kinds of accolades, they're, people to watch in a tournament such as this one, but it's not really like, it's a bit of a niche market on the fan side of things. Like he's kind of a guy I think the diehards know well.
Yeah.
But to the sort of, casual fans, he's probably not, doesn't have the same standing as some of the rest of the bracket.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's move to the outlier of the tournament from here. So the one that went the distance. So we had Sitthichai versus Tayfun. Last name that we think we've been saying wrong.
Oh yeah, I don't know if Michael Chiavello's like dressing it up a little bit. On the commentary, they were saying like Ushkin. I was just saying Ozcan, but I was just kind of pronouncing it how I read it.
Maybe Sai can let me know, because he gave me a bold predicament for this one that didn't pan out.
What was the prediction there?
Tayfun by knockout.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's incorrect.
Hey, he was like, look, you put it out there, so that's fine. I'll give him props. No.
Tayfun's good. I thought. Yeah, I think he was kind of another guy maybe in Chingiz's position where I think Sitthichai was probably the overwhelming favourite in this fight.
Yeah.
It's not like there was betting odds. I think if I asked everyone I know who was going to win this fight, I think they all would have said Sitthichai. But I wouldn't have been massively shocked if Tayfun won. I did back Sitthichai coming in, but to me this was a pretty close one. Close one to call.
Close one, yeah. And like we were saying, that Sitthichai just kind of shut down Tayfun's game where it's just like, glove on glove. He gets his gloves hits. He just aggressive counter up from there, but it just never kind of eventuated.
Yeah, it is like we mentioned. Like Tayfun has fought effectively his whole career in that sort of infusion circuit, which is kind of like, there's quite a uniform style. Like everyone kind of brings that more, not like a uniform style. They're kind of subsets of like a broader style in that kind of infusion lineup. But it's not like they're regularly mixing in with kind of Thai stylists. It's like it's like its own style. It's like you see these infusion fights. They're like that kind of Tayfun, Ozcan, Jiraiya, Kamal as well. Like they have different styles, but I would put them under sort of one umbrella.
Yeah.
That Sitthichai is very distinctly different from.
Okay.
And that's sort of what you saw here. I thought Tayfun couldn't really get settled. Because Sitthichai did a good job of, when they were kind of in the inside boxing range, shutting it down with a knee up the center and forcing Tayfun to retreat. On retreat, of course, the left kicks there. Sitthichai very well known for that. But I thought his pullback left hand was beautiful in this.
Yeah. Like he just got that southpaw double triple attacks.
Yeah.
So, flipping between those moves on the right ranges makes a big difference.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's interesting. I saw a little bit of chatter about how the fight was really close, and I didn't see heaps of people crying robbery or anything like that, but it was a split decision, and I did see some saying things along the lines of this is why one needs extension rounds. To me, I didn't think it was that close. Of course, I don't pretend I really know how to judge kickboxing.
Yeah, I'm a little bit unclear.
Yeah, it's distinctly different to Muay Thai, and I don't have as much education. I have some education in Muay Thai scoring, but not in kickboxing scoring. So maybe it was really close. Through my eyes, this was not a close fight. I thought the first and the third were very clearly Sitthichai's. I thought the power advantage was very much on Sitthichai's side. I thought he landed all the significantly damaging shots.
Yes.
Tayfun had a couple of moments in the second round with his hands, but in particular in the third, Sitthichai was really starting to take it over. He landed some quite punishing knees to the body. Wobbled Tayfun. No, not wobble, but really sent Tayfun back with his left hand a few times. I thought if I'm judging this with power at the top of the criteria, it was Sitthichai quite clearly.
Yeah, Yeah, I had the same feeling as well. But then again, if someone out there has kickboxing judging and refereeing experience, you can always think differently. You can enlighten us.
Yeah, like I'm interested to hear. I mean, it's not like we really needed the judges for this tournament, but I'm always interested to hear the differences. Like the more I learn, the more I realize like you really do have to kind of look at it with a different lens. And I don't have a lot of understanding in that. But like I think a strong performance by Sitthichai. I think for the discussion for me in this one, I picked skill for skill. I picked Sitthichai.
Yep.
And I had enough confidence in that pick to pick him for this tournament, for this match. I thought it was a question of how much he has slowed down. We saw him look somewhat flat, maybe against Superbon. Obviously Superbon we will get into. Elite level, but like the two have fought 3 times. Sitthichai knocked him out the first time they fought. It was pretty tit for tat the second, and I thought kind of struggled to put his foot on the gas when they fought most recently in one. Looked good against Tayfun. Yep. That was a somewhat maybe contentious decision, but he still looked good, especially and got quite strong towards the end of that fight. I thought this was a question of like would sort of just a bit of youth play on Tayfun's side. Although Sitthichai's really young. Like Tayfun could be older than Sitthichai. I don't even know. But like in fighting years.
Competitive years.
Yeah. So it was just kind of a question of I guess how hungry Sitthichai looked. I thought he looked good.
Oh, that's it. It's like same thing. The money talks, doesn't it? Like,
$1 million is a lot of money.
That's it. You want to train your ass off, and like I said before, Sitthichai looked pretty bricked up for this. Like he
looked solid.
He looked, like you said, it came in a bit lighter, but like physically great, and his gas tank looked better.
He looked big. Like looked like he put some muscle on in the upper body. He didn't look like he was ever getting tired.
No, definitely not.
They got some strength and conditioning going on at Sitthichai Penal.
So we talked about so this is the point we got to before we had the cutoff before, but like so now it's Davit has the honor of dancing with Sitthichai for a 3rd time now. And like, so can it look different than the other times that he's fought Sitthichai?
Well, it's a good measure, like we talked about. A lot of the questions in this tournament are where is Sitthichai at in his career. This is a very interesting measuring stick because the two of these guys fought a few years ago, twice in relatively quick succession. Actually, it was the same year, I believe, when Sitthichai was quite new to glory. Had 2 very strong performances against Davit Kyria. Knocked him out the first time or stopped him with a cross and knee to the body the first time and pretty soundly beat him by decision. Second time, just Davit couldn't really find his way through the left kick. So now let's see. Davit's obviously in form. Let's get another look at. Maybe that'll tell you. I mean, it's been some years since that.
It has. But if we're going off the recent performance, like how Davit approached fighting and then Sitthichai approached fighting this fight, it might look the same.
It definitely might look the same.
I just never know. Before we get into that much, how much do you, so this was in the cage as well.
Yeah.
Did you think that made much difference to any of the guys' styles coming in, or it just seemed they flowed with it pretty good?
I think that's an interesting point. Look, they're all bar Davit's not fought in the cage before, I don't think, but I wouldn't pick that as something that he would really struggle with. I thought maybe Chingiz looked like he had adjusted to the cage because we spoke last time about how I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought in watching Chingiz fight Enriko that he was struggling in the cage. Like I think that his ring control is excellent. He's had hundreds of fights, on top of his amateur career as well. Yeah. Would have all been in a ring. It's a big change to make. A lot of his footwork patterns are geared towards controlling the ring and using the corners. So when you put guys in a massive open circle cage, it gets different. And I thought that was giving him some trouble in the exchanges against Enriko. But in this one, he obviously had it figured because it was quite a classic Chingiz performance in the way that he intercepted and caught Samy with that head kick. I didn't see anything that suggested to me that anyone was really struggling with the cage as opposed. Oh no, Tayfun's the other one. He was debuting. I highly doubt he's fought in a cage before.
Yeah, but this style is it's pretty much just meet in the middle anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You never get more than 20 centimeters away from him. It doesn't matter what the surrounds are. I don't think anyone really looked like. I haven't watched super closely. I didn't see they were all quick fights.
They were.
I didn't see anything that was like, oh, I think that would have worked really differently in a ring.
I think the only one, like the next fight we'll talk about from there, so Marat Gregorian versus Andy Souwer, ended in 2 rounds, and fucking Jesus Christ, Andy Souwer's all well wishes to him as well on his retirement after this fight as well.
Yeah.
Absolute legend.
Legend.
But he seemed to be happy just to sit against the fence as well. I noticed, like, you know how you could use the ropes like to bounce off a bit, but like when you're on that fence line, there's no other kind of move. You kind of just pin yourself.
Yeah, in a kickboxing context, in a cage, it's like you can, in a boxing or traditional kickboxing format, being against the ropes can be your, like we talk about, get your back off the ropes. You know, that's like day one stuff. Like you don't want your back on the ropes, which like that's one of those rules are made to be broken things. Like some guys,
it's an experience thing.
Yeah, some experienced counterfighters very much like their backs on the ropes. I don't know if anyone wants their back against a cage, like a hard surface with no give, unless you want to do like an Anthony Pettis like bouncing Superman punch or Showtime kick or something like. But like I don't know if that's massively advisable.
Yeah, that's right. So in this one for me, so there was a pretty early knockdown in the first part, and then it continued on to the second round, and then there was another knockdown, but then like after the knockdown, like Andy Souwer decided to go on my shin, like it feels a bit fucked as well.
Yeah.
From there, but like I don't know, I even felt like Gregorian, almost out of respect, just goes, "Oh, I'm not gonna totally blow him out the water." It just because I felt like if he wanted to be honest, he could have just did him in like pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't think there was really any surprises here. I think they kind of gave my guy Andy like one of the on paper hardest matches in the whole tournament. So like I think this one was just a little bit like just current strength and youth and all that. Like Andy's been around the block.
Yeah, hasn't he?
Yeah, I was kind of glad to see Souwer say his goodbyes in the cage after this fight. Yeah. Like I don't really want to see.
Never know what fighters though.
This is true. Legendary career though. Like
next minute, bare knuckle boxing.
No.
but like you look. Okay, so going from that match now, you have Chingiz versus Marat. Now that's a good fight.
That's a good fight. That's a really good fight. This is a fun one because it's a rematch from a glory fight a number of years ago. That was like a kind of a funny doctor's stoppage where like I think Marat spun and like. It could have been the elbow that hit Chingiz, which is not legal in kickboxing.
Happens a lot though.
It happens a lot, yeah. I mean, okay, let's not get into it again. You shouldn't really be allowed to spinning back fist in kickboxing. Yeah. Like if the elbow is illegal, then the spinning back fist should probably, because like how often do you actually land with the glove when you throw that?
Not very often.
And I see people get fucking smashed in kickboxing fights with spinning forearms. Yeah. Is that legal?
It's not the padded part. So that's like it says a lot.
Anyway,
you know my shift on this.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm down with it. Like one that always stands out to me is Hisaki Kato versus Joe Schilling in Bellator. He smashed him with his forearm, and it was clean on like the below the glove. But because it wasn't quite the elbow, it's legal. Like it doesn't really make heaps of sense. I mean, like, it's cool, it's whatever, but like. Sort of just like a silly thing about the rules. But yeah, in that particular fight, he got cut in like a funny exchange like that. They continued fighting, and then not much later on, the doctor was called in and ruled Chingiz unable to continue. So like it's kind of like a fight that needed to happen again and didn't. So and I think at this point in their careers, it's probably a bit more fun now.
Yeah, definitely.
But these are two guys who you like. Put these two against each other stylistically with $1 million on the line. That's fun.
This is nothing but fireworks.
Yeah, this is going to be really good. Do you have a tip for that?
Man, like he beat my man Santa, so I'm gonna have to just go with Chingiz. It's like and probably for the whole tournament now as well. It's like
I think that's
it's a solid pick, but like then again, Marat. It's like those final four, like I'm still gonna sleep on. Davit.
I'm not going to learn my lesson.
no, not just I'm not ready. But like those three in particular, it's like that's it's a bit of a toss up. I feel
no one out of those three would surprise me to take home the meal.
Yeah.
Davit would surprise me, to be honest. I'm sorry, Davit.
Hey, if he does, fucking man, bow down.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do the like Tyron Woodley go. I'm gonna get the Davit tattoo on me if he wins.
I mean, he could win. Like, you wouldn't like. I don't think anyone in these four.
Yeah.
I would really like lose it with shock if they won the whole tournament. That would probably be the most surprising. I think. To me, out of this bracket, I think looking at it on paper, Chingiz and Murat's like the pick'em fight. That's like a close one. You'd have to look at it really intricately to have a clear pick. I can see it going either way. I see that going to the points.
Yeah,
I don't see either of those two knocking each other out.
I think it'll go to the points, but it won't be like a boring kind of points.
No, I think it's going to be a wicked fight, and it'll probably be a close fight.
Yeah, definitely. The ranges that they like to fight in is pretty similar. Yeah. So let's go into what happened with the featherweight title. So it was vacant. Yeah, that was what was happening.
Yes, inaugural title. Even though, whatever.
Yeah, talked about that long.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So Superbon versus Giorgio Petrosyan. My God, who I don't know if anyone did anyone pick that a head kick knockout.
No, I mean, like for me, a lot of the conversations I had about this fight were like, it was a 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of conversations. Like, I know a lot of people in the scene were picking Superbon, but I know like a lot of people I talk to, like they always kind of pick the tie. Like there's a favorite, like there's a bit of favoritism to an elite tie in a kickboxing context.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I just thought I could never put money against Giorgio Petrosyan.
Well, the resume stands up.
Yeah, like I thought Superbon was in with a really good shot, but I thought if Superbon won, it was going to be like he was going to edge a chess match over 5 rounds. And I'm stoked that this is 5 rounds. Like I said, I don't really like 3-round fights. They have their place, but I'd like to see more 5 rounders in one. Like I'd like to see a little bit more. Like it doesn't have to be a title to be 5 rounds. Like if you've got a title fight and a really good semi-main event, make the semi-main 5 as well. Yeah. A bit more that way. But like, fucking thing was 2 minutes.
This is a killer. But yeah, like okay. So if we look at the replay from there, so like it's getting played heaps. You can find it, just like the ending sequence. So Superbon there, body kick, and then as Giorgio pulls back out from there, that one just had the guard down a little bit because like southpaw versus orthodox. Yeah, and then like that's a trademark head kick that he just likes to throw. It just hits sweet and like absolutely deaded Petrosyan, and he was out for ages. Like a long time.
He was, and this is a couple things. Like I've seen Giorgio Petrosyan get knocked out before. He lost to Andy Reesty a number of years ago now, actually. Like that would be 9 or 10 years ago. Yeah, and that was his last loss. But that was a fight where you kind of felt, look, everyone's human, especially a guy like with a record like Petrosyan's. If you're around, you'll get caught. He got caught. I thought he got caught in that fight. I thought this performance from Superbon, albeit short, was meticulous. Like I didn't think he caught Petrosyan. I thought like he was playing chess. I think like you watch like a guy, Petrosyan is so difficult to get out of position. Like you say, like he just lulled him into this just rhythm of just body kicking. And then you'll notice before he throws a head kick as well, he like puts like a kind of just throws that right cross and kind of has Petrosyan peel back. And then that was like, you can tell this was drilled a million times. Like this was not a matter of him.
You just have to find it on Instagram, and it's like there's plenty of footage.
He's like I have I went back and watched videos of him on pads drilling this exact sequence. Like they knew what they were doing here. Push Petrosyan back, and Petrosyan, he knows. He's very smart with his exits, and like you got to build a pattern where you can figure out when he's going to kind of take that slide out and look to reset. He resets really well. Yeah. And that was kind of, I think, why the head kick landed so flush is that Superbon tricked him with the cross, had him like bring the hand down and step back to what he thought was safety, and then just followed over the top of it with the high kick. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Clean as. Some not so good reffing after this, to be honest. I don't know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Like Petrosyan felt. Oh no, I saw an interesting post about this because like this was a weird thing that I saw in this fight. Is like again, it's hard. It's easy to say when you're not in the position. Like Petrosyan fell back down, and then they kind of just left him there. Did you notice how long it was before anyone went and tended to him? Like it was a long time. Like the referee left the doctor was I believe the first point of contact with Petrosyan. Yeah. So they've got to get the cage door open, get the doctor in. And he fell straight back and no one made any effort to get his mouth guard out of his mouth. Like he fell straight like that. Like that mouth guard could go down your throat.
They could.
Right? Like I believe in Thailand. Well, I mean, this is interesting. That what I saw a post from Cosmo Alexander, and he and he said, "Look, good fight, but when are the refs in international promotions going to start doing what Thai refs do and diving for the head? Again, that's hard.
That's some experienced shit.
Very difficult. But again, this is the top end fight. Like, where are the yes, that's some experienced shit, but should we not have some
or even just after someone's been that you have to give him immediate attention.
Yeah. Like at the very least, whether you can drop down and catch his head. Because Petrosyan's head did bounce off the canvas like a basketball. And my guy Trevor Lawler would have been going for the head.
Of course.
100%. So it's like you see it at a local level too. Like I don't think there was no effort made. So like once Petrosyan got hit, it was just like, oh, he's the doctor's responsibility now. But the other thing was turning him over into like a recovery position and removing the mouth guard.
Yeah.
To me would have felt...
that it seems pretty basic, like in a fundamental.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like if a dude gets knocked out in any context, you kind of put him there.
Yeah. Well, right? Like I saw in that post as well, Darius Dauch on there.
Oh, yeah.
He commented, he said, first thing he would have done is recovery position.
Turn him over, yeah. So someone who knows what they're talking about. So I'll stand by it. Yeah. Like I feel that's what's taught.
Yeah.
If someone's knocked out, you put them in.
Okay.
Position
definitely. Is it a thing with the refereeing from there? Obviously, Elias aside from that one, because Elias is the man. Is the refereeing maybe not as attentive in terms of being close enough? Is it like a little bit like boxing referee where they just stand back and go, break? It's like, you stop fighting.
Yeah, you could be in a different room. Yeah, it's like, well, that's like a pointer I've been given by Elias a lot. And Trevor is like, when they shadow my refereeing, I get told I'm too far away.
Okay.
And I think like when you are in there, you feel like you're really close, and then you can watch it back and be like, oh, actually, like comparing it to like a professional referee who knows what they're doing. Yes. You're like, oh, I'm miles away. Like, realize how like, and that's the art of it. Like refereeing, there's a bit of footwork to it because like you watched Elias and Trevor run around the ring, and you see Elias in the back practicing like the same way fighters do. Like he knows how to pivot and move and like keep himself as close as possible, but watch the fight in a way that he's not going to get.
And kind of like on like in game, and almost like game plan where the fight's going.
Yeah, like that's why you got to have like your own kind of ring smarts to referee, and that's so you can be so close that if someone gets flashed like that, you can dive down with them and catch their head. But that also takes, again, like I'm not saying I would be able to do it. It's just like, to me, I felt like the referee was a long way away, and Petrosyan was just zombied on his back with no one tended to him at all until the doctor came in. And like, what if he was, I mean, like, not to bring up worst case scenarios, it obviously didn't happen, but what if he was choking on his mouth guard?
That's it.
Dude's asleep, and he was asleep.
That's it. How are you going to do your golden boy like that?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's like, no, he doesn't wear the crown anymore. Fuck that guy. Superbon.
Yeah. Looking forward to Chachi overturning this one.
That's exactly right.
Try to find a case there.
But, like, that was the whole one event, and man, like, it went beyond my expectations.
Yeah, wicked. Well, best one show in a while, I think. It's amazing what happens when you get rid of the MMA. But it's like interesting to look at this because there's a few kind of takes that it's like you've got a very spicy semi-final for the tournament, and I believe the winner of the tournament will now fight Superbon. I can't see what the fuck else you would do. Like, what else is required to become number one contender? But a few stories here because, of course, both of the semi-final fights are rematches. You could very well see you're almost guaranteed to get a rematch as the final.
Yes.
I don't know because Marat and Sitthichai, if they both get to the final, that's number 5.
Yeah.
That's their fifth fight against each other. No, it's worth doing. It's like we talked last week. It's worth doing though because like Sitthichai beat him 3 times.
Yep.
Marat got him on the 4th go, so it's kind of like it's reason enough to see kind of who gets up here.
It's like a throwback to the old K1 days where
Yeah.
you just fight each other.
The
like
guys fought
5-6
a lot,
times.
and that's the tournament format will do that. When the bracket's preset, you can't just shuffle it up to avoid rematches. Yeah, so like we're very likely to get all rematches for the rest of the tournament. And then, the winner of this thing is going to go and fight Superbon. Marat knocked Superbon out a couple of years ago.
Yes.
They fought a couple of times. I think they're 1-1. But the last time they fought, Marat knocked him out early. So that's interesting. Of course, Superbon and Sitthichai fought recently and have fought 3 times. But yeah, there's a lot of kind of interesting stories for this one. And it's like we were talking about. Sitthichai is now going to fight Davit for a 3rd time. With a win, could very well end up in a 5th fight with Marat Gregorian in the final. And with a win there, could end up in a 3rd fight with Superbon. So, there's not much new going on. I mean, I'm glad they put Sitthichai against Tayfun in the tournament because there were a lot of rematches for him in the tournament too.
Yes.
It's because, we get to see him fight someone new because there's a good chance that his next bunch of fights are all rematches.
It's true.
Because Chingiz would be he's fought everyone in this tournament.
I think
before
the only thing that might have been rematches but there was meant to be some sort of reserve fight, but that dropped off. I didn't hear anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know because Yurik from Revolution Phuket, I think was going to fight Joe Nadawat. That's a sick fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fight.
I know.
So Tim Fisher, get to us. What happened to that fight?
And I know Tamanchai was going to fight Samapet as well.
Oh.
But Tamanchai got hurt or something. Samapet will fight Ritawada. That's nice.
Good fight.
I'm looking forward to seeing Ritawada in one championship. I think a lot of people don't know Ritawada, but he's going to do some shit in one. Yeah. Up at 7. Oh, no. I think at bantamweight 65.8. He'll probably end up at 70 as well. He's a pretty big dude.
Yeah.
He's gonna make a mark, I believe.
So when we see first strike 2 or second strike?
Actually, yeah, that's a very good question. Is it called first strike 2 or is it called second strike?
Hopefully it brings the same heat, just the all striking card.
But I mean, I feel like it's such a safe bet that you're going to get nuts fights when you line up tournaments like this. What was the likelihood that you put this tournament together and we come out of it that was average? I feel like even the worst case scenario is a pretty good night of fights here.
Yeah. It would have been interesting overall. No matter how it would have been pretty good technical chess matches, or as we got here, just fucking blowouts.
And I don't know if I was expecting bangers in this way.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? I was expecting a bit of chess, but and we got a little bit of it. It's funny when I was watching it back. When I was watching this morning, I was thinking Tayfun and Sitthichai was the fight of the night. And I'm yeah, because it was the only fight. The rest were the rest were just clobberings. But it's interesting as to see tournaments. There's that always story of you've got to look at not just the style matchups beyond the first rounds, but how did guys get through and who's looking good, who might be hurt. I think everyone's pretty fresh. Sitthichai went to the points, but I didn't see him take a lot of damage.
I think it bang up.
Obviously, there's things you don't see, but I find it really hard to believe Chingiz Alazov is hurt.
Or he just hurt
They
his
maybe
hand.
hurt his leg. Yeah, maybe he punched Samy in the elbow.
Yeah,
and was drew from the body. But yeah, I think everyone's
everyone should be just raring to go. Really.
Yeah, which is good. I think probably what can only be the downside of a tournament is when you feel it's the upside as well. It's what adds to the drama of it. But sometimes you feel like you didn't get the match you could have got. You got the 2 guys, but especially with one night tournaments.
Yeah.
This is obviously not one night. probably.
Yeah, and there's always the thing like tournaments, like, injuries from the tournament. But even like, like we have a little bit of time between the next one that they could get injured.
Injuries, yeah. That's why like I was very happy with the reserve fights. Not sure what the story was, but yeah, because like what I liked about this lineup was that reserve fight. Either of them would have been a very exciting addition to any of the. That does kind of like it's that dark horse kind of tournament story. That's what makes it so fun. Is that sometimes you just get this random entry. Yeah. So I'm not sure what they're doing if someone gets hurt. And then it's just like, someone gets hurt and they're like, Andy, you've got to unretire.
You got to bring it back for save the tournament. Oh, well, yeah, it was a great event from there.
Great event.
Yeah, so let's end
one
off,
championship, do less MMA. We're all happy.
That's it. You heard it. So let's end up on like another like banger fight. Like let's go to boxing. So Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, best heavyweight fight last 10 years.
I mean, I ain't watched them all, but it's got to be up there.
Yeah,
I mean, like probably the closest competition is their first fight.
Yeah. Well, I reckon in terms of excitement, probably that and then like Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko would have been that.
That was up there, yeah.
Well. But Jesus Christ, like after the first two fights, you kind of got it. Everyone was like a foregone conclusion. Like Tyson Fury is in the back.
Yeah.
It was a draw the first time.
It wasn't, but it was.
Yeah. Like he outboxed Deontay Wilder, but Donald Jones just got those bombs in his hands. Yeah. And then on the second one, he just totally big brothered him.
Yep.
Also. And then this one from here, my God.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Like, and it almost felt like I thought what I loved about Fury versus Wilder 2 was like I think what's so beautiful about like a higher level any combat sport is that oftentimes the difference maker is not a massively complex plan. Like I don't think you look at what Fury did to Wilder the second time and it was this ultra scientific. I mean, like there's science, of course, but it's not difficult to explain. It was crush the space and sit on top of him, make him carry you around a little bit, and then exploit the openings that come from that and from that kind of the flow on effect of exhausting him. It was not complicated. No. But it was relentlessly executed, and that to me is like the nature of combat sports. It's not like, this really kind of, sometimes simple is best. Like it's not like
if you're bigger, lean on him.
Yeah. And it was like, and I like the little sub plans that come out of quite a simple, broad plan. But I think sometimes when you're studying combat sports, you can get into the trap of feeling like when you're watching guys compete at a really high level, that everything that happens tactically has to be, explained by an essay. And it's not the way all the time. Like, I don't think that truly is as simple as he crushed the space and sat on him. And it almost felt like in this fight, Fury was giving it back a little bit, like saying there was a little bit of like he chose to fight Wilder's fight with him a little bit at times, paid for it at times, but he didn't like off of that first fight. I thought it seemed pretty clear what Fury was going to do. But like if we didn't preview this, if you had me preview it, I would have said it's going to look exactly the same. I didn't think Wilder was going to have the tools to do anything different if Fury tried to play the same game. Yeah. And there were times when he did. But like this was a good one because I didn't give a shit about this. I thought it was a pointless trilogy fight. But afterwards, I was fucking stoked.
It was just like such an exciting fight. Like I said, the narrative was just so back and forth.
Yeah.
Or at least for the first 5 rounds, it was back and forth.
Yeah.
And then it was just like a runaway train.
Yeah. And then, I mean, like, it's like, what does it take to knock Tyson Fury out?
To keep him down.
Yeah, like, because, like, I would make the argument that the first time Wilder did knock him out, like, he went out for a little bit.
he left the astral, he went astral projecting. Like, he lived a whole lifetime.
Sat up like the fucking Undertaker, man. Like, I mean, like, I feel like off of that, like when a ref doesn't bother with the count, they just wave.
Yeah.
I feel like if the ref did that in their first fight, like in that 11th, 12th round, I don't think anyone would have whinged that much.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, like Wilder was already up on the ropes. So he went down, but same as this one, like to get knocked down 4 times in a career by Deontay Wilder, who's probably the most prolific puncher of this generation of heavyweights.
the God hand
Mm.
he's got there.
But it does just kind of go to show you, like, kind of beyond, like Deontay obviously had moments in their first fight. He didn't really have that many moments in the second
Not
fight.
really.
Second fight was one-way traffic. Had moments in this fight, but you can kind of see, like, he doesn't have layers beyond. I mean, that's kind of an overdone kind of storyline, I guess.
Conclusion.
Yeah.
Really?
I thought he actually dealt with kind of the pressure of Fury a little bit better this time.
He came in like, what, 40 pounds heavier than he did last
He was a
time?
bit heavier, yeah.
It was nothing on his legs, though. It was all up.
No legs, yeah. Yeah.
But, like, it's like, yeah, it seemed like he prepped to be better equipped to kind of, like, meet mass with mass a little bit. But, and, like, you know, and surprisingly, like, you know, like what Malik Scott was talking about, like, oh, we're going to take that body. Did it for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But then kind of goes, oh, now I'm going to do my thing.
This is a good point as well, actually, from watching this fight, was that there's a couple of layers to this. I think when you get a new trainer, often like it's a difficult position at high-end boxing. Like, if you look at it historically, guys typically don't show a lot of the changes from getting a new trainer until a couple of fights in, and that comes back to that boxing culture of tune-up fights and stuff like that. This was a difficult position to go into this fight for Deontay Wilder with a new trainer, and like a good new trainer and a new training regime.
They fought before as well.
Yeah.
They fought each other.
A guy who knows him well. But like, it's like 1, maybe 2 rounds, but I'd probably say somewhere around 1.5 rounds. You could see that Wilder had a different plan and a different intent. And then there was just a fuck it point where he's like, nah.
Yeah. It was interesting because, like, if he really wanted to, he could have just jabbed his body the whole night because it's so long and just stayed there. But
it worked when he did it.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think it's very difficult to take a dude who's 36 years old, has had however many fights Deontay's had.
And Deontay's got that. He has his mindset.
Yeah. And a guy who has made a career of resting on a somewhat limited tool set. And I don't say limited as to be disparaging to Deontay Wilder. I just mean he's got quite a simple tool set. Like, he knows what he's made a career of leaning into a couple of things he does really well. And he's had success off of that. Is that, like, in, like, muscle memory is real. Fight habits are real. Like, if you take it's quite a layered process, I suppose, to take a fighter at that place in their career and make significant kind of sweeping changes. And you can see that that's what they tried to do, was make Deontay play a completely different game, which he needed to do. But you're not going to completely re-engineer a fighter like Deontay in one camp.
Nah. It's like, well, like you said, like, we're looking at the body. When you look at the body shots there, like he did nothing but body shots for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
It's not like he goes, I'm going to go body and come back upstairs. Like, can I use it to plan something? He just goes, coach said hit the body. And that's it. and then after he goes, I want to hit his head. And then just like, it didn't kind of layer into each other.
And Tyson's a smart fighter. Like, you show your hand that much. Okay, this is what Deontay's come out here to do.
Yeah.
You're kind of giving him a lot in 2 rounds. But then, of course, sort of round 4, Deontay started to do his thing. But yeah, kind of off of that was sort of just like the last petrol in the tank for Deontay Wilder. He didn't have anything beyond that.
So let's say, like you said, they went into this camp here, Deontay Wilder, obviously, like, he fired his last trainer, Mark Breland, I think, and got Malik Scott. So with the Pacific order, it was like saying no one throws in the towel in my team.
Yeah.
So, but like
that would have been a good idea.
like round 5 onwards, like I was actually rarely impressed. Like, I go, how is this dude still standing? Because like he's like just like staggering, but not getting knocked down until the later half in the fight. But you could just see he's just like
it wasn't
out of
there
his feet.
anymore, and it was very similar to the first fight, right? Like, he wasn't going to go down.
No.
But he wasn't there. He was holding the rope. This is the second fight, excuse me.
Yeah.
He was holding the ropes to stand up. He was looking out of the ring a lot. Like, he didn't know where the fuck he was.
No.
He's not going to go down. He's a tough guy, a big dude, pretty heavy set, a hard guy to knock out, clearly. But then you're watching this fight, like, you know, it was from 5 onwards that he looked sort of similar.
Yeah.
Like, he was on ice skates, and eventually you'll get with 36 minutes of ring time. And that's what happened. He put, like, I thought that stoppage didn't need to happen. Like, I think we had seen enough.
There's maybe a couple of rounds too many.
You round 7, round 8. I don't think anyone would have complained about a towel coming in, except Deontay Wilder. Actually, no. Deontay Wilder definitely would have complained. But, like, yeah, I mean.
Because that's still even like in late side. There was glimpses where you could still like he was pulling out some shots to go, oh yeah, he's still dangerous, as he proved in the second fight.
Yeah, and I guess that's it, right? Like I think Deontay's just a very aware fighter. He knows what his game is, and his things like, do not throw the talent at me because I'm hard to knock out and I can knock someone else out at any time. And that's particularly important in heavyweight boxing because these dudes get tired.
They do.
So Deontay's kind of just like, okay, yeah, this dude's kind of beating on me right now, but let's see round 11, round 12, maybe that's when the haymaker comes through. But yeah, this is a fight that could have been stopped earlier. It would have been fascinating to see what it would have taken Malik to throw the towel.
I don't know. I don't think he would have thrown the towel.
I mean, that had to be the agreement, right?
it.
Like, and there would have been, he would have had a financial interest in not throwing that towel in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's funny though. If you follow Malik's stock, he's definitely his own dude. Like, he doesn't seem like a guy that I don't march to anyone's drum, but be by my own.
yeah.
But but yeah, it's interesting, and like really, like you could see the glimpses in there where like if he sticks with Malik, I go, you could see some
There's
good
promise
stuff.
in this pairing, yeah. And it's like interesting, right? Boxing is kind of annoying. It's been fun the last few weeks, but like if this was like, if we were making matches logically, we're going to do Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder now, would watch. Would do great ratings, would make both guys a fair bit of money, but for both of those guys coming off the losses that they are, just not. But maybe like I find it highly unlikely.
I think with Joshua, I think he's revoking the rematch clause with Usyk, which is a terrible fight for him. I think I don't think that's a great rematch to have. He'll probably have a better thing with Deontay Wilder, but I think even that for him, I think he sees Deontay Wilder and just goes, I don't really want to get knocked out.
It's interesting, right? Like after the Andy Ruiz fight, the first Andy Ruiz fight, I remember coming out like, Deontay Wilder would actually chin Anthony Joshua.
There's a very high possibility.
Yeah, and look, I don't know what's going to happen in any heavyweight fight, but yeah, like I think that's a very dangerous fight. That's why it won't happen.
No, that's just boxing's going to do boxing.
Yeah, because like it's like we're going to see. What can be frustrating about boxing is like we've had a couple of weekends. Were they back-to-back weekends, or was there a weekend in the middle?
They
were close together.
They were pretty close.
They were 2 weeks apart at most. A couple of sick heavyweight fights. Like they've really elevated the whole status of heavyweight boxing in general.
There was like for such the longest time, like who bothered to watch heavyweight boxing when it wasn't like like the Foreman era?
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Klitschko's reign was so long.
Yeah,
and so boring. Like,
good technician, but
we all got put off heavyweight boxing, but it was exciting, and it's like there's not going to be like a big momentum build from this. Like, imagine if you came out of these two. Like, I've had conversations with people that are more like MMA type fans, and they're like, "Shit, man, I don't watch boxing, but like this was sick."
Yeah,
and that it's like if we were being logical, we would do the winners and the losers here.
Yes,
like we would do Usyk and Fury. Would watch. And we do Wilder and Joshua.
Yeah.
Would watch. But it's like you're just not going to see that. You're going to see a rematch.
Just boxing shit.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, there's so many things in play. Like, each fighter is, part of a different like promotion, and everyone trying to get the A side in, and then all the different belts. Like, was it Fury is like the WBC champ, but also the lineal champ and the rings champ. So like, there's an imaginary title and a magazine subscription
title.
And it's like, I don't get boxing, but then Usyk has all the other major belts.
Well, it's just the idea of the lineal champion is like a funny idea, because it's like there's all these belts and they go here, there, and everywhere, but here's like us just tracking it if it was logical, like a logical succession, person to person to person. Yeah, I think the winner of Dillian White and Whalen, Arthur Whalen, will be the mandatory for Fury, and I think they'll probably do that, which would be pretty good.
Yeah, it's like if they do it in England, they'll do well.
Yeah, I think White probably wins that fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, like if they did that in England, that would be good.
They'll get it.
Like, but it's just not like the super exciting matches.
Nah. I think they've done their dash for at least another year or so now.
Yeah. It's like we keep seeing this, like as we become a combat sports culture that has become sort of come up on that. What made the UFC so big was like, if there was a fight people wanted to see, they just made it.
Yeah.
Like that's what got people in. Like I remember in sort of like the real come up days of the UFC, like Chuck and Tito fought a trilogy over the course of only a couple of years. Because they were the fights to make. And that's what I think that's what's had people really lose their patience with boxing. Like you can kind of see through it a little bit more now.
Yes.
Yeah, like you're just going to see, we've know who the guys are now. And then it's just, but we've seen it time and time again. You put fights off long enough, they expire.
That's it. Like they missed that opportunity with Fury and Joshua.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's now off the table
and that was like that, and not only like an exciting fight, but also like in terms of having these two guys in the UK fight,
the revenue,
you lost your money. That they lost all that money from that.
Yeah, so it's I mean, like I think heavyweight boxing's in a good place. I think boxing in general is in a pretty good place.
Yeah, it's pretty watchable nowadays.
Yeah, there's some good shit on it. I've been I always really like boxing, but it can just be difficult.
Yes,
unnecessarily so. But boxing's been fun lately. A lot of good stuff coming up. But yeah, like it's just there's still these barriers towards getting the fights people actually want to see, to the point where it feels less and less like they actually happen. It like they've gone from like it'll happen eventually, but it's a few years down the line, to like they kind of just don't happen at all. Like the sport moves too quick now.
That's it. It's like it's like some of them want to play the Mayweather game where you wait till like, it's like, oh, not fight him yet. Not too, yeah. Now, man, he's too old. Now fight him.
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's just shit. But like, yeah, look, hopefully like they can just like use this as a little bit of a trend here. Let's go, look, if you want to get this popularity, it's like if you don't want the UFC to like totally take over us, then you gotta make the moves and make the fights that people actually want to watch.
But I think it's like people don't need the same kind of bullshit that they used to. Like you used to really need to create 2 lengthy undefeated records and keep guys away from each other and stimulate that conversation for long enough to kind of build. Now that there's so much more exposure and like methods of promotion are different, I don't think we need that anymore. Like you look at like the UFC, no one cares that Charles Oliveira has lost as many times as he has.
Hey, it's probably even a better story.
Yeah, it's more fun. Like people just want to are happy to see guys kind of come through wins and losses into fights. And they just don't like need both guys to linger in the press. Like I think maybe the news cycle's faster these days, so you don't need to kind of keep guys like the whole build-up thing. I think people just get off quicker.
Yep.
They just they actually lose interest rather than increasingly getting more interested.
Yes. So it's like, yeah, it's just so easy to pick up steam now.
Yeah, like so it's just like you actually really have to, like, if you've built a narrative, strike while the iron's hot, whereas the old boxing mentality is that slow burn. Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
no one's got the attention span.
Yeah, we don't have attention spans anymore.
All right. Okay, I think that'll do us for this week from that one. Thanks for listening to us. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the episode as always. Thanks always to thank you for Warriors of the Mongkon again for sponsoring us.
Legends.
Yeah, always there, and hopefully we'll get to see the new stuff soon.
Yes,
and collaborate a little bit.
The world is open.
Yeah,
fun times ahead.
Oh, that's right. All right.
Actually, the world isn't, but we are.
It's like, it's close enough now. It seems close now. All right, guys. So we'll catch you next week.
See ya.
Peace.